guys, I'm back and I'm ready to show you how I do all my calculations for the warp. I have chosen my yarn. I'll just talk you through a little bit how I chose that yarn. So with weft yarns, you can just kind of try lots of little bits out. But when it comes to your warp, it needs to be strong. It needs to be resilient because it's got to go through a lot more tension and strain and than your weft will. So I do two little checks to see how well the warp is, or get a little idea of how well the warp is going to hold out. So I start with just grabbing a little bit like this. I'll just stroke it in both directions. Now if it's really fluffy and it's really fibrous and it's all bunching up, then it's probably going to cause it to break or clump together and not go through all your heddles and your reeds very well. So once you've done that, then it's just a test of shear strength. So just give it a little tug like that. If it doesn't break, or it doesn't break really easily, then you're probably got a nice strong yarn there that's going to hold out for your warp. I've got a hemp, so that should be pretty resilient. I'm now just going to work out how many ends I'm going to have in an inch. So how many warp ends am I going to have in 1 inch? If I grab my ruler, can't see it very well, but it is an inch ruler as well as a centimetre ruler. So I'm just going to hold that like this and I'm going to wrap round. Just laying them nicely together, if you can see it. As I go, I'm just going to keep counting. So you just want to bring it, I generally, depending on how thick or fine it is, if it's really fine, I'll tend to bring it to 1/4 of an inch and then times it by 4. In this case, I'm just going to bring it to 1/2 an inch, times it by 2. But I mean, if you've got something really chunky or you want to go all the way, then go all the way to 1 inch, just counting as you go. Once you've worked out your number, so on this particular one, it's 15.5 inch, so makes it 30 in an inch. So I've got my 30 ends per inch record. So now it's just kind of recording that information and working out how it's going to build my warp, and how I'm going to warp it together and get it on the loom, how it's going to work with the loom. Bearing in mind that when my Jane loom gets here, I am only got 400 heddles, so I can only have a total of 400 ends. So it's just working out how wide I'm going to do it. That's going to make enough, well, it's going to have enough heddles for it. So what I first start with recording is, so I'm just going to give it a little time so I know, when I look back, I know what I'm working with. So for this one, I'm just going to have hemp, herringbone. Now, when we're working at the mill, we usually have what we call a warp number. So if I do that with this, then you can see how we record things a bit more back at the mill. So it would usually be the year. So I've got a year there, and then the number of warp. So if the last one was 39, the next one would be 40. But from this case, it's my first time in this warp with this loom. So I'm going to start with 2001. So that's literally how we record that. That also gives us a good log. So if we keep referring back to it, or if we find a little sample and we're like, oh, that was warp number 2001, then I know to go back into my log in our warp papers and say, okay, right, 2001, that's the one, right, and I know exactly how to repeat that because I really like that piece of fabric. Okay, so I do now know that I have got 30 ends per inch. So EPI, so if you ever see EPI, that is what it's referring to. So with this, I'm going to keep a salvage. So in my salvage, I will have my ends doubled. So we usually have our ends doubled at work. I'm only going to have 1/4 of an inch of my ends doubled in the selvage. So doubling them just kind of gives them a bit thicker, a bit more sturdy, and it's why a lot of time in your fabrics you have that little raised edge when you're buying fabrics. So I'm just going to start with, I'm just going to show you kind of a little bit. This isn't really how we do it at the mill, but obviously it's, I think sometimes if you're doing hand weaving and you want to see it, especially if you're starting out, how it's all going to work, it's a nice clear way to see how your warp's going to work and how your plans are. So obviously in here I've got 6 ends, but obviously remembering that they're doubled. So I've got my 6 ends doubled. So that's going to be a plain weave there. Cool. And then I'm going to have inch herringbones. So this means that for 1 inch, I'm going to be threading my loom 1 to 6 in this case. 1 to 6, 1 to 6, 1 to 6, because obviously I've got an 8 shaft, but my last 2 shafts are going to be holding my plain weave selvage. So I'm going 1 to 6 this way, so 1 to 6, and this here obviously because I'm 30 ends to an inch, this is going to be 30 ends. So now we got our next, and obviously this then is going to be going this way because now we're going to be going 6 to 1. But in between each of your herringbones, because when you've got to the end of this you've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this means that this herringbone bit is going to start on a 5. And it's going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and repeat that way. So it means now from now on out, how many ever inches you go that way is going to be 1 less than this original one. So I know I've got 21 there, 29 in there. So I'm planning to do a 12-inch warp. So again, this is a bit all over the place so you can see what's going on, but if you want to record it in different ways, I'm just going to keep that I've got a 12-inch. Also, I can put it in my warp title, so 12-inch hemp herringbone. So I know that 1 inch of it's going to have 30 ends, and then there on out, 1 times 30, and then on out I've got 11 lots of 29. Then I want to plus my 2 lots of 2 times 6, but remembering that those are doubles when you're warping. But this is just so I can work out how much warp ends I'm having, so I can work out that I've got enough heddles for it. So we will need to add all of these up and then work out my total ends. Now I have already calculated this, so I know that I have got a total of ends, and they all work out together that I'll have enough heddles. Comes to 341 if I remember rightly. Obviously my phone is my calculator and I'm currently using it for this, so if we go with that, then I know that I've now got enough heddles to cover my whole warp. So obviously we will eventually then come to it, the reed. Now the reed that comes with my loom is 10 dents in an inch, and I've obviously got 30 ends in an inch. So we want to divide this evenly so that the warp looks even and you don't get marks in your woven cloth. And also, if you have them more distanced, it'll come out wider than you anticipated. I mean, in some cases, you sometimes want things distanced, but you've calculated for the fact that you want it a wider warp. So in this case, I've got 10 dents per reed and 30 ends per inch. So this one divides nice and easily. So this one is going to end up at 3 ends in 1 dent. If you've got a complicated one, say like you've got like, well, not so complicated, but a little bit more fiddly, say like 25 ends to an inch, you can divide it and then work it out that way. Or if you know you need to see it a bit more visually than as I do, because maths isn't your strong suit, you can always just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're now essentially got a little mock read. So in this, you can then go, okay, so that's one thread, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so now we've got to 20, but we've got 5 ends left. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So every other one is going to have 3 in it. So if you repeated that, that would match up. So you just the whole way across your warp go 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. Now sometimes if you have only got that one read and you have to adapt, it can get a bit more complicated, but showing it this way can help greatly work out how it works. So I mean, some cases you might have to go 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, or 4, 3, 4, 3. So this is a lot easier way to work that out. I think personally, obviously everybody else has their own way of working these things. That's just how my mind works. So once we've got all this information, we can start warping. So I'll see you in a bit on the warping mill.